I really thought I was in for an easy ride. I thought I'd be playing neurotic Glaswegians forever. But I'm really grateful for it, and I find it now like one of the most pleasurable parts of acting, and always a great challenge.
You will know our guest today from starring in such big hitters such as Playing Nice and Mayor of Easttown or Andor and other things beside. He's now stepping onto the silver screen as Edward in the comedy drama as they call it. It's called Four Mothers. Welcome to the show, a fellow Celtic brother, James McArdle. Lovely to meet you. Thanks for being here today.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Watching you in Four Mothers, I was going, who is this Irish actor I've never seen before or heard of before? And then I realised, hang on, I'm looking at James McArdle. This is remarkable. Well done.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Thanks so much, coming from
a proper paddy,
the real McCoy. Yeah. Oh, thanks very much. That was one of my biggest, fears when taking on the project, because similar to Scottish people, I hear the Irish accent butchered a lot, so it was a real priority to try and get it as accurate as possible.
The butchery, as you say, is so important to avoid, because everyone from Scotland watches a Scottish person doing it and an Irish person trying to do a Scottish accent, and here we are, Irish people watching a Scottish man doing. But I have to say, passing every test, and is because Irish friends, or
I have Irish friends, and also I was surrounded by Irish people, and Colin and Darren who wrote and directed the film.
The Thornton
brothers. They were very keen to. They were on my case all the time, which I loved. I welcomed that, and I just. I love doing accents and stuff. It was the same. I did the prequel to Sexy Beast, and I had to be Cockney, and I'd never, it was not. You can't really plan as an actor. You just have to adapt to survive.
But you obviously have a facility for accents.
But I'd never planned that. I always just thought I'd play slightly neurotic Scottish people for all my life, and so I've never had a kind of ambition to be a transformer or anything like that, and it just seems to be happening. I don't know why. I've never pursued it.
Did you mimic teachers at school? Did you
kind of? But I seem to be I've just played Tom Stoppard play at the Old Vic, and he's like a really posh upper class English guy, and I truly, because some actors do want to do that. I have never. I really thought I was in for an easy ride. I thought I'd be playing neurotic Glaswegians forever. But I'm really grateful for it, and I find it now like one of the most pleasurable parts of acting, and always a great challenge. So whether if it's Sexy Beast Miles on Playing Nice was much easier accent wise, but a bit more of a very different character from Edward.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Edward. We'll get to Playing Nice in a minute, but let's talk about Edward and Four Mothers. This is a beautiful film. Well done.
Thanks.
Now I really mean it, because from the scripting, the casting, the directing, everything else, it's a film with great heart and great kindness. So maybe you tell everyone about it, and we'll take it from there.
It's the film's basically, it's about a novelist who cares for his mum who's just had a stroke, and his career's kind of been on the wane, but he gets this chance for a renaissance on Twitter, and he gets this opportunity to go away to America and do a book tour, but he'd have to put his mum into care for that time. Meanwhile, his friends have decided that they're going to ditch their mums on him so they can go to Maspaloma's Pride and have this big party, and then his therapist decides to do the same, and he finds himself with this weekend trying to deal with this existential crisis about what he wants to do with his life while looking after these 4 octogenarian women, and it's really funny and really sad, I hope, and those things kind of live side by side in the film.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. And it's not easy always to get that parallelogram working, because it can be a bit clunky, but actually there's a lovely blend in this that you got right.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's ever had a mother in their lives, or anyone who's ever been a mother in their lives, this movie will chime with them, especially if you're at a certain age, where your mother's got to a certain age, and you're the son and you're the carer, you're the loyal son, but the angry son. There's an awful lot going on emotionally here.
Yeah, I know. We are now a nation of carers. We're a world of carers. That's what excites me. But I've never really seen a film that explores that. And they always say, don't sell it like that. Don't sell it as carer film.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, in the screenings that I've seen, that is the thing people want to talk about most, because it's not, as you said, the film's not a Debbie Downer. It's not like it's not intense or anything. It's both of those things. Anyone who has cared, I mean, now know everyone has either cared for someone or cared for or cares for someone themselves, or has been cared for.
That's right.
And when you watch the film, you recognise all the drudgery and the hardship of that, but all the absurdity. You know, there's always bits you shouldn't laugh at, or
how did it come to this? How am I cleaning up my mother's this, or talking to her like that, or rescuing another mother from a karaoke bar? Like, how did this happen?
Exactly. And the people that have come up to me, you know, a lot of like grown men crying, and it's been either like the one guy I spoke to was caring for his brother, or so it's not just the mother thing. But I definitely think for me it is that intergenerational. My dream for the film is my gran passed away. That's when I just read the script, and that was actually one of the things that drew me towards the script, because you know my family cared for her in her last years. But my dream for the film is that, you know, people of any generation, my generation, your generation, take your mum to the cinema, take your gran, your stepmom, whoever that woman is to you, because what I love about the film, it connects generations. You know, it finds the thread between generations. Sometimes that's difficult to you know, connect with another generation. What is great about a film, take them to the cinema, you don't need to talk. You know, it's a shared experience. You can talk or not after it. And I think it's I would love the chance of taking my gran for lunch and then taking her to see the film. That's for me, that's my dream, my hope for the movie.
It's a lovely way of putting it, because when you take somebody of a certain age and a certain ability, whatever you want to call it, and you're sitting down in the cinema, you don't have to talk, but you are doing something together.
Yeah, it's a shared experience.
It's a shared experience, and a few things beat the cinema. If you do that at home, the phones are out, the tea is on, the kettle is, the kitchen's a distraction. The cinema is a totally different world. Lights off, company on, film is there, and
with an audience as well. And it's like kind of like the theatre as well. When you're with an audience and you're hearing people laugh or cry at the same things, it's a real bonding experience. It's a connection, you know. You said, you kind of alluded to that people are saying to you, don't talk about it as a carer's movie, and it's not something that comes to mind at first. To me, it's about a mother's and son's movie, and the son is interchangeable. If you want to put in a daughter, that's not the point. It's a universal language. Yeah.
However, when people have caring in their family, whether it's for a mother or another relation, and you go for a pint in the pub or a coffee, really other people don't want to hear about your caring stories because they're pretty bleak, and they're not always very uplifting. That's what I thought this film, it stepped into that void. Now people can connect on this and say, oh, you're telling my story, and have you seen this? Because it's telling your story, and suddenly we have great storytelling.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally. And you can get a sense, you know, when you're seeing the film for the first time with an audience, you're a punter, like you know, because you've seen it in ADRs or edit suites, but there's an experience that happens when you see an audience. And I've had times where with an audience I'm like, they are not buying this, or whatever, but you can feel there was something in the room. Everyone wanted to talk afterwards. Exactly what you're saying. You know, I know this, my sister did this, I feel guilty because I wasn't there for that. I did more of this. We had something, you know, it was embarrassing, but it was so funny. You know, like all of those things are in the film, and people, I sometimes think when anything TV or film, you're seeing it with that adolescent show right now, anything that hits the zeitgeist that people haven't realised they want to talk about comes along, sometimes it releases something, you know, and you can sense it amongst the chatterati after the screening or whatever, and it definitely felt like that to me, and that was, you know, all I could hope for the film.
Beautifully put. My mother would, you know, I was connecting with it with my own mum. She had a certain stage in life. She's great, but she was in school with Fionnuala Flanagan.
Oh,
your mother in this.
Yep.
So I was watching, because when I went to see Fionnuala playing in one of the ghosts in the Christmas Carol in the Gate Theatre in Dublin, I brought my mother. This is a number of years ago, and they met afterwards. And from a distance, I took a picture of these two old school friends hugging each other.
Did she know your mum was coming, or did they recognise each other?
No, afterwards I said. Fionnuala, and they knew each other, and anyway, it was a lovely moment, and they're in different probably places now in their worlds, but Fionnuala brings a lovely dignity to the role, and I love the fact that she has to speak through what do you call it, like a voice assistance computer,
like on an iPad. She has to speak through the iPad. She has to put in her lines, and the iPad
James
speaks.
That's the comedy, because because when all she has to do is hit repeat to I'm hungry,
upstaged by an app again. Honestly, here we go. AI has arrived, and I didn't know it would be this easy for it to take over.
And there's a great scene where you go full Basil Fawlty, because do you remember that where you have to go into a corner of the room just to let out a roar?
I scream into one of the cushions. You can understand it. Yeah, totally. It's like, it's so frustrating, but you can't, that you've got to do the right thing and everything. So, and I think people will relate to that. But in terms of Fionnuala, I mean, that is, I was so lucky. I was in my element. I just had, I was either trapped in a minibus or in this suburban house with 4 great Irish, octogenarians, and you just shut up and listen to their stories because you've got something to learn.
You got,
and also not just listening to them off camera, but to what Fionnuala does is an acting masterclass. She has to carry, the two of us carry the film together, but I have all these, I scream, I talk. She has to do this with a look, with a because she's relying on this iPad. It's such a lesson in screen acting, I think, and she was just, she's a legend. So it was amazing to call her mum. She
could start or end a war with a look.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that we all recognise in mothers or grands. That's the raise of the eyebrow.
Game
retreat,
over.
Retreat. Yeah.
Always. And Gearóid Farrelly, fresh off Dancing with the Stars, which is the Irish version of Strictly Come Dancing. He did very well, but he's also one of the great. There's Rory Panty Bliss, is known as is in there too. There's great stars and great. It's a credit to you. Well done. I'm delighted for you.
I've got to say the whole experience was one of my happiest experiences.
That's filming. A nice thing to say.
Everyone was so decent and kind, and it doesn't always happen. And it comes from the top. It came from Darren and Colin Thornton, who wrote and directed, the brothers who wrote and directed the film, and it just, when there is that sense of decency, it makes everyone freer. You make bolder choices. You try new things, and you feel you're in a safe environment. And I think everyone felt that from me and the 4 ladies to Gearóid and Rory and everyone. It was a real fun experience. It's just a shame, 90-minute films, you're finished filming them relatively quick. It's the ones that go on for years that you're like, oh.
There we go.
So that's maybe part of its charm.
90-minute films are a gift to people like me who don't have the patience for much more. So I loved it. I want to mention a guest of ours who was here not too long ago is Niamh Algar, who you starred alongside in Playing Nice, and well done on Playing Nice. I thought that was just a wonderful piece of TV.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks.
You were your own accent at that stage. That had me confused, the whole thing. But that's another day's work.
Yeah. So Niamh was, I've got to say, the 4 of us got on so well. The 4 of us were trapped in Cornwall for these months, and couldn't have been with a better bunch of people. It was really, really, and again, that kind of trust, and because some of the issues were quite dark in it, so that trust and we can have a laugh with each other really helps helps with all the other stuff. Yeah, happy team, happy screen, happy audience, really. Yeah, hope so. Listen, I'm really happy to meet you, James, and congratulations on Four Mothers. It's a beautiful film, and I say little only not in a patronising only because it's shorter, but it packs a punch. Yeah. And it does more in 90 minutes than a lot of films do in 4 hours, so well done. And thanks so much. Delighted for you, and thanks for coming in to see us today. Thanks for having me. James McArdle, our guest at the top of the tower today. Four Mothers in cinemas across the UK and Ireland this Friday, April 4th. You won't want to miss it, and as James says, bring your mammy, bring your grandmother, or just go on your own, but enjoy it, take it in, and maybe learn a little bit, and you'll probably want to do what I do as soon as you finish watching it, which is ring your mother.